So, Rajat, can you first of all quickly describe yourself, give your introduction and about your background?
My name is Rajat Singh. I have done my schooling from City Montessori School in Lucknow, UP. So after that, I have completed my graduation in chemical
Your voice is
from
cracked.
IT Roorkee
Can you
in
speak
2020.
clearly?
After that, I have been preparing for.
Can you speak a bit clearly and slowly?
Okay, sir. So I'm audible right now?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Sir, my name is Rajat Singh. I have been born and brought up in Lucknow, UP. I have completed my graduation in chemical engineering from IIT Roorkee in 2020. Since then, I've been preparing for civil services. So my hobbies include playing rapid and blitz chess and transcribing rock songs on guitar.
You see, you have done your engineering in 2020, and that also from a premier institute in like IIT Roorkee. What have you been doing during the last 2 years?
I've been preparing for the civil services, sir.
Don't you think it's a complete waste of your talent which you have acquired? You should have done it along with something else.
I believe that so when I started to think about what I have to do, so in 4th year, I decided to go for civil services. So after having discussed with my parents and my seniors also, so I've been fortunate enough that my parents also supported me in the decision since there was no financial issues because of which I would have to work. And secondly, sir, I had had this blueprint for me that I would give dedicated effort to UPSC because it's a long journey. It requires dedicated study. And I can also see that it is because of that I have reached this stage in the second attempt. So I can see that it bore fruit, my strategy that I prepared. So that is why I had been preparing for the exams.
Don't only work for financial issues, financial problems. After having studied engineering, one should also try and give what can one give to the society and to your parents. Just because your parents cannot, they can afford it, doesn't mean that. Anyway, leave it. When is your interview scheduled to be held? Can you hear me?
So my interview dates are not out.
Not known yet.
Sir, the voice is cracking, but I can make out, sir, what you are saying.
Okay. So you have plenty of time. It could be in the second phase, March onwards, is it? Tell me, which newspapers do you read?
Indian Express, sir.
Indian Express. Is that enough? Can you add 1 or 2 more economic papers with your reading right now?
Yes, sir, I am planning to add it too also, so for the interview specifically. So I've been recommending.
But you are not interested otherwise, only for preparing interview. You are not interested in these things.
Apart from newspaper, I follow online sites so as a source of information. So for example, there is Live Mint and so the print also. So for both economical issues as well as the the national issues.
What are the most important news today?
The first news that I came across was the Nepal tragedy. The plane crash that had happened yesterday. So second, then there were news about. So one was about also economical development also. One related to budget, as many companies are planning to form their blueprint based on the budget. So also there was news about the Google fine that Competition Commission of India has imposed, and that it is trying to convey the fact that if it had to give the fine, it would have to make huge changes in their company structure and their strategies.
Have you studied the background of the fine on Google?
Yes, sir. So the fine was basically because of its monopolistic tendencies. So Google, what it does is that in most of the phones, the app store that it has, it forces the mobile companies to pre-install the Google payment apps, which is monopolizing and not allowing the Indian startups to enter this field. So because of these cases, the CCI has fined it, sir.
What do you think about this case and about the fine imposed? What is your opinion?
I believe it. Yes, sir. Sir, I do believe that the government is currently trying to ease the way of doing this, that the big companies try to monopolize the sector, and often it goes against the interest of small players or new entrepreneurs and startups. So in that case, I believe in the wisdom of CCI, that, and it has also said that it has imposed this fine after empirical evidence. So I do agree with this, sir, that any company should have the freedom to do business, but at the same time should follow the laws and not have monopolistic tendencies.
I was talking about the news. Have you read the Joshimath problem? What is happening?
Yes, sir.
You didn't mention it, but it's not
Sir,
in
the
the.
Joshimath. Yes, sir.
Tell me.
The Joshimath problem has been because of the land subsidence that has been happening. So, for instance, there has been reports even in 1976 and 86 by ISRO, which has stated that the land is subsiding because of excessive construction. Also, sir, there had been lapse in the allowances. For instance, there are buildings with 7 levels and floors. So this has increased the amount of pressure on the fragile ecosystem, and that is why we are seeing the cracks right now, sir. Also, because of the construction activities and the tourist activities, it is increasing the pressure on the lands.
All right, over to you, Virendraji.
Right. Rajat, you coordinated the music festival in Roorkee. Do you yourself take part in any musical or other performing art activity?
I was the part of the music section of IT Roorkee, and so we used to make performance for the students as well as the faculty. But sir, this was a cultural event where we allow others from outside, other colleges who come in during the cultural fest to participate. So we were mostly
do you also perform yourself? Do you play any music? Guitar?
Not in this. So I play guitar, sir. Yes.
Okay. And how was the response to that festival?
Yes, sir. Sir, the event name was Sargam. Sir, it is one of those events in our cultural fest which has the maximum amount of participants, simply because it is a singing competition where we have 3 categories of solo, duet, and group singing. So, sir, over 3 days, we have more than 700 participants who had
Do you
signed
follow
up.
any reality show, singing reality show on the television?
I mostly follow music bands, sir, not any reality TV show. So there is Indian Idol in India, which I used to see before. But since I'm more of an instrument player, I mostly watch bands and their performances, sir.
Okay. Now tell me, you talked about Nepal, the plane crash. Are you happy with India's relationship with Nepal?
So, our relations have turned a bit sour during the last 3-4 years. So there are certain reasons to it. But I do believe personally that
what are the reasons? What are the reasons?
The first reason is often the Nepal government has, and the Nepalis have blamed India for showing a big brother attitude, for too much interference in their politics and local affairs. And secondly, sir, I believe there's also a Chinese factor at play because of some ideological alignment. Those external factors have led Nepal to believe that India is not working for their interest. The thirdly, I believe, are the territorial disputes that arose recently, which has never been a historical contestation between the two countries. So these the broad reason which I feel that, and also sir, there is the Madhesi issues. So the Nepali constitution did not provide them the rights that India had been demanding for them. So sir, I feel these were the particular reasons because of which our relations have
So you
not
think the
been that.
problem lies on the Nepalese government's space? The Chinese government have been trying to create problems, and the perception of the people. Is there any issue on the part of the Indian government as well?
There are certain instances where I believe that India, for instance, 2015, so India had also imposed some kind of sanctions also. So, and also I believe that too much interference into their internal affairs so also have led to a bad image painted in India. I believe, sir, that the way forward is always optimistic.
When did we interfere in their internal affairs?
Only one instance that I can remember.
Instances where India interfered in their internal affairs.
One instance that I remember is the issue of the Madhesi, sir. India has been always advocating that they should also be involved in representation. So often it has been portrayed as by the Nepali side that it is India's big brother attitude and interference in their own matters. So that I believe has been one of the causes.
If you were given the responsibility to fix, you said there is a problem in the last 3-4 years. If you were given the responsibility to fix it or write a paper on how India's relationship with Nepal can be improved, what suggestions would you make in that paper?
I believe that currently we have a pragmatic approach toward relations with our neighbors. So, but if I would be given the chance, so firstly, I would believe in greater diplomatic outreach with the Nepal because our history has often been intertwined. We share the famous concept of we have an open border, a porous border, and we have a relation of brotherhood with each other. So I believe that that is an incentive that is an avenue that we can use for a better relation. Secondly, I believe, sir, I would suggest fast tracking the infrastructure projects that India is currently having in Nepal, because often our neighbors have criticized India that it's China as a better partner because of the loans as well as the infrastructure project, which often go faster there. That is why, sir, we see that Nepal is also supporting China's BRI initiative. So thirdly, I would say that we can incorporate the cultural aspects, so that Buddhism and Hinduism is something that unites us. For example, sir, Buddha was from Lumbini and he died in Kushinagar, which is in India. So we can leverage those aspects of our relation. And so again, sir, like we use the vaccine Maitri to provide vaccines to our neighbors. So these are the initiatives that we can surely take, sir.
Amongst all our neighbors, who would you think that India has the best of relationship?
I believe currently in the current paradigm, we have very good relations with Bangladesh. So from political perspective, Bangladesh, we have seen that all of the secessionist activities, Bangladesh has always supported us, helped us to curb them. So apart from the issue of illegal migrants, I don't think there is any active issue that is going on between India and Bangladesh that needs to be resorted. Even after the 100th Amendment, so we exchanged our enclaves that were source of disputes. So economically also, we have recently seen that the Ganga Vilas project will connect Banarasi to Dibrugarh, which will go through Bangladesh. So connectivity wise also, and sir, energy in energy sector also, we have a great relationship with Bangladesh. So, and the only issue right now, sir, the Teesta water agreement that we are also in advanced stages of agreement. Hopefully in future, we can also sort that out. So I do believe, sir, with Bangladesh, we have a really good relations right now.
But what do you have to say about Bhutan? You didn't count. I mean, you're obviously placing India-Bangladesh relations as being warmer, better than India-Bhutan relationship. What is the basis of that judgment?
I do agree with you that India-Bhutan relationships is also one of the best. But since I stated Bangladesh because with Bhutan, we don't have any active issues that are going on. With Bangladesh, we not only had some issues, but we had overcome it. And we have managed to show that both the countries can move together forward. So that is why I believe that Bangladesh relations shows us that our diplomacy had succeeded in overcoming issues and finding common grounds for cooperation. That is why I stated Bangladesh.
All right, all right. Now, Prime Minister often talks about manufacturing, make in India. And we also talk about bringing in investment from overseas. What do you think are the areas that we need to improve to make a better investment manufacturing climate in India?
As you rightly said, that manufacturing is currently an important aspect for our development forward. So because as we have seen that even in agriculture, we have disguised unemployment. So manufacturing becomes the natural prospect to absorb this extra labor. So for instance, we have certain pros that India currently has that we need to leverage. So for example, we have, as per the economic survey, by 2040, we are going to peak in our demographics, which has a great amount of young working population. At the same time, sir, I believe that in order to attract investment, we need to ease up the way we do business. So for example, in ease of doing business index also, we have gone up. So as you said, that Prime Minister is also focusing on the startup culture. In space sector, we have recently seen that under the Prarambh initiative, we have invited private sector to invest. So apart from that, I believe labor-intensive sectors need to be focused upon, such as textile, so that not only we can target the export markets, but at the same time absorb the labor that we have. So thirdly, I believe that we need to skill our labor. So currently we have good amount of engineers, but we lack on the skill aspect. So Skill India mission and recognition to prior learning that we have initiated. So I believe skilling is one aspect that need to focus on. So fourthly, we can also reform our tax structure. So for example, the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, and also, so it will make India a destination for companies that are moving out of other countries such as China. We have seen China +1 strategy of many countries. I believe so we can leverage that and make India a destination for these companies. Sir.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Sangeeta ji, would you like to ask anything?
Yeah, Rajat, you spoke about, you have written in your CV that you would like to transcribe Hindi songs. What is it about?
Ma'am, I transcribe mostly rock songs, which are mostly guitar oriented. Ma'am, transcribing is basically listening to the song and trying to play it on the guitar without using any tab sheet, but using ear training. So, ma'am, there are basically 3 steps in that. First, you listen the song, then you slow it down and try to analyze which key the song lies in. Once you analyze the key, then you find out the melody of the song, which mostly involves finding out the notes as well as the scale of the song. And lastly, we find the chords of the song. And then if there is any technique such as hammer-ons, pull-offs, then we try to transcribe that. And then we play it in the time in which it is supposed to be played.
Okay, I hope you enjoy your hobby. Do you understand anything a bit about the soft power of Hindi movies?
Could you please repeat?
Yeah, in the cultural space that you enjoy, I'm asking you about the soft power of Hindi movies. What does it mean? What does it imply?
Ma'am, soft power refers to utilization of cultural aspects of a nation to exert influence on other nations so that they can agree to a stand. For instance, India has traditionally been a country that has relied on its soft power. One, our films are not only popular in the Indian subcontinent, but are also going abroad. We have seen the recent Golden Globe Awards given to Natu Natu and in the film RRR. It is important first because it not only displays our culture abroad, but people abroad start to understand our opinion and standings in the world. From
Currently,
music
I'm
perspective,
sorry
ma'am,
to interrupt you, but currently there seems to be some kind of a backlash within India against popular Hindi movies or popular film stars. What do you have to say on that? And do you think if this kind of a backlash continues, then it will ruin this huge asset that we have of Hindi films as soft power?
as far as India is concerned, I believe the Constitution has provided us with the right to speech and expression, where not only filmmakers can make films what they like on the subject they would want to make on. Also, the citizens also have the right to speak their views on those aspects. I do believe, ma'am, that it should always be in a constructive space. It should not target any person or the filmmaker personally. One who should only criticize someone based on the content of what they have created. So as far as that is concerned, I do believe the current scenario is a bit concerning, that people are trying to target those who are involved in this format because it's art at the end. And as ma'am, as you rightly said, that it can tarnish our image abroad because we are not known by we are not known as a country that exerts military power, but mostly along our soft power. So ma'am, I do believe that there needs to be a balance. Those who have any problem with particular film should air their views constructively, or either they can have their own space and create their own aspect of art to counter it. But should not, I believe, should not attack any filmmaker or any actor. Yes.
Okay, all right. Your father was in the forest service, am I right? Yeah. So you have a good view of the bureaucracy, right? Because you have lived the life of a bureaucrat's child. What do you think are the drawbacks of being in bureaucracy vis-a-vis being in private sector? You are an engineer and therefore you have a good chance. You graduated from a good school and you have a good chance to be in the private sector as well. So have you thought about it? What are the drawbacks of the bureaucracy vis-a-vis the private sector?
Am I audible right now?
Yeah.
Ma'am, during my third year, I did an intern in a private company because at that time I did have this dilemma as to what should I see myself in the future. So I did an intern in private sector in machine learning also. But ma'am, it was during my fourth year that I decided to go for civil services because of broadly 3 reasons. It's not that I did not like the private sector, but my father did have an impact on me. So I always wanted to go for civil services because the amount of job diversity and the opportunity that it provides, I did not find it in the private sector that I work. And secondly, ma'am, I was always inspired by my father's work ethic. That also had an impact on me. I've seen him doing work which are very broad in nature. At one point, he is working on the grounds. At one point, he is working in the policy making. So that also inspired me to go for services, ma'am. And lastly,
there are
ma'am,
so
also,
many interesting things happening. No, you have even in India, you said you already worked a bit on machine learning, but AI is now like really going to go through the roof. And there is drones and there is space technology, which India is really now going ahead with. So don't you think it would be more exciting to be in this space rather than the drudgery of the civil service?
Ma'am, I consider myself to be an all-rounder. And as you said, ma'am, I believe that even in policy making, India is currently moving towards more what we say technological development. I believe that is needed in the services too, as research and development is needed in every field. And when I realized that I wanted to go into civil services, I also looked into these stuff, that my engineering degree, my scientific temper that I have gathered all over these years will always help me and will always go along with me. It is not that I would be giving it up. Even in, as I've said, ma'am, that even in policy making, we have seen that private sector are being involved, but it does not mean that policy making and administration would go without it. So ma'am, I do believe that although interesting things are happening in all the other sectors apart from civil services, but they do have a role to play for our nation building. And I believe by being in civil services, I can always contribute to that.
Right. Thank you. Dhanendra Kumar ji, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let me give you a few observations as a feedback. I feel you are a good candidate. You have a very good chance, but you need to improve a lot in a number of spheres. For example, in your articulation, when you are putting across your viewpoint, you have to carefully compose the answer in your mind. Think for a few seconds, what is the interviewer wanting to ask you? Don't ramble too much. You seem to be using different words for saying the same things. So compose the answer, speak coherently within the shortest possible time to put across what you want to say. That would bring out the best within you. So practice on a mirror or practice on your smartphone, prepare a few questions from out of your DAF and current affairs and see how best you can put across your viewpoint and your answers. Otherwise, you seem to know a lot of things, but you seem to be, shifting from here to there and so on and so forth. So that is something which you need to improve upon. Secondly, you have to be very clear about your goals and what you have done when you have studied from IIT Roorkee, which is a premier institute in this region. And when I asked you in the beginning, what are the main news items which struck you? Now, that is in the same state, Joshimath, as in Roorkee is also in the same state. It should have come right in the beginning. And IIT Roorkee is considered to be the premier institute in civil engineering. And they are occasionally and frequently consulted on some of these matters relating to seismic issues and engineering, civil engineering issues. You see, on the forest side, the questions which were asked were very relevant, and you should be knowing more about it. And that is an area again which the government and the environmentalists, they are very keenly concerned these days. Okay, so wish you all the best. Feel free to come to us again for another session in case you feel like before your actual interview. All the best to you. I may have to leave a bit early. Rajnishi, sorry, Virendraji, in case you wish to give any observation.
No, I think you've said it.
And
it was totally a very good performance, very good performance.
Yeah, so wish you all the best.
So keep it up.
Keep it up. Hope
Remain
to see
confident.
you in the list of successful candidates. Sangeeta ji, any observations from your side?
Yes, I think you did very well. Let me tell you that. You have the right amount of earnestness. You take a bit of time to consider the question and then you come out with an answer. So you did quite well according to me. The only thing that you did not get nervous, although one of us kind of tried to get you up into a bit of a corner. I think that's excellent. The only thing I would suggest is to make your answers a bit tight and impactful. They shouldn't lose the punch. You're just wandering all over the countryside. Don't do that. It should have more punch. And the questions that I asked you, I think you need to give it a bit more of thought on why exactly you want to. You are, well, are you here? Are you there? On why you want to, and although engineering is going to be an exciting field in the future, why do you want to come to civil services? It has to be a bit more tight. I mean, by the time I was getting bored of what you were saying, it shouldn't be that way. You get very little time. So wo thoda sa usme soch ke, you should give a good punch to it, right? But otherwise, you are very good and I really have good hopes from you. Keep that in mind, work hard and all the best.
So all the best to you. Good luck. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gupta.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.